If you remember, 2 weeks ago we closed age of early geographical discoveries. Early geographical discoveries mean on the early modern time, it means 16th, 17th and 18th century, European sailor discovered the way to Indian Ocean and the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, performed by Cristoforo Colombo, who was born in Genoa, and other direction, two Portuguese sailor, Bartolomeu Diaz, discovered the Horn of Good Hope, and Vasco da Gama discovered a direct sailing way to the direction of Spice Island. Therefore, the new capital of spice trade became and moved to the direction of capital of Portugal. It's Lisbon. The basic problem with the new capital of spice trade that no any connection to the trading network of Europe. Therefore, for Portuguese trader and Portuguese sailor necessary collaborate with other European trader. You remember on the time of Age of Venice, two networks developed. One to other, it's a little bit rival one to other, a Jews trading network and a German trading network. But for the point of view of Portuguese trader, the German offer was much better. Why? Because a Portuguese trader, for mobilizing a spice, the bags of the great spice, this is a luxury trade, you remember, necessary precious metal. Precious metal. And in the contemporary Europe, the most important trader of precious metal were German. Therefore, collaborate with German traders much better, much comfortable for Portuguese trader. Somebody visited in Lisbon, capital of Portuguese? Nobody. It's quite a useful looking a short movie because it's very important. It's a history, this is a memory. But somehow necessary activate our memory and earn some mobile picture, some impression about this city.
The Atlantic Ocean. Settled almost 3,000 years ago, the city predates Rome, Paris, and London by centuries and possesses an epic narrative to match. From its early days as a Phoenician outpost to its expansion into a 16th century trading giant, from the Great Earthquake of 1755 to its glorious reconstruction, Lisbon has long been a city of shifting fortunes. For much of the 20th century, the city floundered, but the winds of fate have again shifted in Lisbon's favor. No longer a place of faded glory, 21st century Lisbon is again a place of possibilities. This is a city whose journey has forever been tied to the sea. So it's not surprising that many of her most important landmarks can be found along the waterfront. Rising from the banks of the Tagus River, the fortified elegance of the Torre de Belém stands as a reminder of Portuguese prestige and power in days of old. Just up the river rises the monument of the discoveries, which celebrates the nation's most revered seafarers, such as Prince Henry the Navigator, Vasco da Gama, and Ferdinand Magellan. Climb to the rooftop and look down upon the Mapa Mundi below, which charts the routes and discoveries of Portugal's intrepid mariners. Nearby, continue your voyage into Lisbon's seafaring past at the Jerónimos Monastery. Vasco da Gama spent his last night in prayer on this site before departing on his epic voyage to the Orient in 1497. vast monastery that stands today was funded by the incredible wealth that the Camas spice route brought to the city. This vast monastery complex is also home to the city's maritime museum, which preserves relics from Portugal's golden age of sail. In the early 1800s, Portugal's rulers forced the resident monks to vacate their beloved monastery. Destitute, the monks sold their prized possession, their secret egg tart recipe. 5 generations later, the neighboring Belém patisserie serves over 20,000 pastéis de nata to sweet-toothed devotees each day. And the recipe remains a guarded secret to this day. Once you've stocked up to the world's finest pastel de nata, set sail to the newest horizon in creativity at the Museum of Art, Architecture and Technology.
Okay. Anyway, the worst position, geographical position of Lisbon, locate peripheral area of contemporary Europe. You remember core area of contemporary European economic world located partly in the area of Low Country, recently is Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg, and located northern part of Italy. Basically, the medieval European economy located very far from Lisbon, very far from Portugal, which were the advantage of Portugal on the time. Direct maritime trade to the direction of Indian Ocean. The second one, a precious metal. I mentioned before on the time of description of medieval European economic world. If compare the development level, the ranking list of development, China and India, much developed area, much developed civilization compared with Europe. Therefore, no other key of international luxury trade, only the precious metal. Therefore, the position of German merchant is crucial, because the German merchant was able to activate the precious metal trade. Not by chance, for example, the technological terms of mining came from German. Even in South America, even England, even everywhere on the world except China, any other area, the basic terms of mining came from German language, because pioneer of mining everywhere, almost everywhere of the world, were German. Commercial network of distribution, as I mentioned, on the time of Age of Venice, was on the hand of German trader. Okay, very important and by chance selection of meeting point between Germans and Portuguese. It was Antwerp. Antwerp recently one city located in Belgium, on halfway between Portugal and the South German cities like Nuremberg, like Augsburg. And historically, Antwerp was a port of German trader. Therefore, a Portuguese trader and a German trader take a compromise, agree that the new capital of the world economy locate to Antwerp. Success and benefit of a new capital, global capital, economic capital position, you can see doubled the population during the first half of 16th century of Antwerp. But it's very special status. Why? Because a foreign trader directed the trade of Antwerp. No local people, Portuguese and German. And which the most important advantage of selection of Antwerp? The first one, port of Scheldt River. Scheldt River is a river on which located a city. Therefore, there is a continental connection via river. The second one, a commercial tradition of Low Country. You remember Low Country connected very closely to continental Europe, to the Baltic area. Therefore, a large network integrated with help of location of Antwerp. Very important, the crossroads to the direction of northern trade. You remember the key products like timber, like cereals, like tar, imported from Baltic area. Therefore, is a crucial advantage of Low Country. Quasi-independent country. The businessman never liked the politician, not by chance. Try to avoid the strong politicians area and strong politician position. Historically, Brabant, which was the province of Antwerp, connected to the Holy Roman Empire, German Holy Roman Empire. But it's very far. The real core area and the real capital located in Spain, in Madrid. It's very far. No real presentation of central power in Antwerp. Very far. It's a free playground for contemporary traders. Port of German merchant houses. The most important merchant houses are Fugger, Imhof and Wasser. They came from Nuremberg and Augsburg, southern German cities. Safeguarding policy of religious toleration. It's a very important indicator, not only in the historical past, but even now. The toleration, not only religious toleration, a general toleration, indicator of recovery, indicator of good direction of change, good direction of change. If one country, one area, one city develop, it's spontaneously increase the toleration for other behavior, other religious customs, other physical presentation. If one country is decline, indicate decrease of toleration. It's very reliable indicator. The toleration, level of toleration. If no toleration, this area indicate the decline. It's very reliable indicator. Dominated by foreigners, as I mentioned, because this practically this is a meeting point between German and Portuguese. Okay, some movie about Antwerp. Today we will see some European cities. It's very useful because the variation of European cities, there is quite a large scope. Okay, short movie about Antwerp.
A relaxing weekend is guaranteed in Antwerp, the second biggest city in Belgium. From culture and history to luxury chocolate. Let's go, everything now in 3 minutes. The Grote Market Square is in the center of the city. From here you can easily reach all main sites.
The tower of the Cathedral of Our Lady at 123 meters is the tallest in Belgium.
The church was opened almost 500 years ago and at the time was the largest Gothic building in the Netherlands. Around the church there are many restaurants serving typical mussels with fries. As the first museum in the world, Planting Burritos is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Try out the exhibits here around and recommended.
Completely preserved and ready for printing. These are some of the oldest printing presses in the world. Even after many centuries, these presses could print again today. There is a Belgian chocolate factory in this magnificent building.
The chocolate line produces award-winning chocolate, a truly delightful pleasure that is light on your pocket.
We gave in to the urge and bought also some chocolate. especially beautiful in the summer. There are also many cruise ships docking here at the second largest port in Europe.
Estin is located directly by the water and the oldest building in the city.
At St. Michaelskite, parking is free of charge.
From the Museum Anderstrom, you can admire the best view of the city. Let's take a look.
This museum is huge. It's like visiting another world on each floor. Interactive exhibitions are everywhere. From the panoramic platform on the 10th floor, you can enjoy a fabulous view of the city, and it's free if you don't visit the museum. Dach aus Antwerpen.
Ghent is just half an hour from Antwerp, so check out our Ghent video.
Okay. Somebody visited in Belgium or Netherlands? Okay. In which part of? Sorry. Okay. Belgium or Netherlands? Belgium?
Yeah.
Which part of Belgium?
Antwerp.
Antwerp. Ah, excellent. How long?
Only a few days. I used to live in Netherlands, so I went to travel for sure.
Yeah, it's very strange, very special country. I lived half year in Netherlands, but a little bit similar to Hungary because it's a great plain area. 1.5 years I worked in Switzerland. I didn't enjoy it because it's a mountain area and no open horizon, and I have a claustrophobia almost continuously. But it's Belgium and Netherlands. It's a plain area. And very interesting, not only in the case of Antwerp, but in the case of Lisbon, the main period of the city focuses to the geographical discoveries. Basically, today we are speaking about what means the geographical discovery for European culture. If we are looking at history of Antwerp, it's dominated by German merchant houses. The most famous German merchant houses is Fugger family, and the most famous member and the head of German merchant houses, Jacob Fugger. He was the personal counselor of Emperor Charles V. And very interesting is he and these merchant houses organized a social lodging system. For poor people, offer a lodging for this building and necessary to pay a very moderate amount. It's a very early appearance in a small German city, a social policy for poor people. Okay. Anyway, if we are trying to describe the geographical discovery, the geographical network of German merchant houses, we can identify two axes. The first one, it's northeast to southwest to the direction of Iberian Peninsula, and other one, the classical traditional axis of European trade from North Italy to Low Country area. Anyway, from South German city, there were access everywhere, the most important action area of European trade, to the Atlantic Ocean on two-way via Iberian Peninsula, via Low Country, and this is the traditional medieval core area of European economic world. Okay, look at some basic information about Antwerp. The first one, when a Portuguese trader, Vasco da Gama, you remember his story, discovered the direct sailing way to the Spice Island. And for Venetian trader, didn't any bag of pepper, any bag of spices on the port of Alexandria. Therefore, it cut down the Mediterranean direction of spice trade. And a Portuguese trader sailed with the spice bag, first Lisbon, and the next step to Antwerp. And the German trader distributed the spice and the spice bags whole Europe, continental Europe. And the first heyday and the first great recovery of international trade, it's cut down a Habsburg-Valois war between the German and French king, which paralyzed European trade. But the second great period of heyday of Antwerp, it's reactivated by Spanish discovery. In South America, discovered the great mining center of Potosi. Somebody know the name of Potosi? Potosi, this is the greatest place of silver mining, whole of the modern period. And a huge quantity of precious metal imported to Europe, and this American silver became the key of international Oriental trade. And beside the Portuguese district and beside the German district, on this period between the 1540 and 1557, constructed a Spaniard district in Antwerp. And finally, the long war between the French and the German king closed the Treaty of Cateau-Cambrésis in 1559. And this is the network of the map about the network of Antwerp. Two crucial organizations organized the international trade. A Feitor de Flandres. Flandres means Flanders is a Low Country. A Feitor de Flandres, this was the Royal Organization of International Trade, which founded by Portuguese king. And Casa de India, this is a bank which financed a great geographical travel and the sailing travel to Spice Island, and later distribution of spice in Europe. And closed the period of Antwerp a bankruptcy. You know, everybody knows which is the bankruptcy. This is declared first Philip II, son of Emperor Charles V, that the state, the government and the king not able to pay any loan of the state. It's a bankruptcy of the whole of the state. 2 years later, the French king declared. It's very dangerous loaning to the king, to the state on the time, because no international jury, no international legal possibility asking back the loan from the king. It's very high the profit if somebody loaning the state, but it's very dangerous gamble. And not by chance is destroyed whole of the German-based organization of European trade. And very interesting, the story of the Fugger merchant houses. You remember the Fuggers was the richest one whole of Europe. And very interesting, you know the logic of bankruptcy. There is a rumor about a bank not able paying back the deposit. Therefore, everybody running to the agency, contemporary's name, a factoria, running to the factory, ask back the deposit. And very interesting the story, because the Fugger merchant houses pay back every deposit that lost the confidence forever. And the Fugger merchant houses, it's unbelievable story from the point of view of Central Europe, even now exist, survived the great bankruptcy, but never was able running up to the top of European economy and the trading world, but survived, and even now exist in, and it's a middle-sized enterprises in Augsburg, but even now exist. It's expired 5,000 years. Unbelievable. In Central Europe, no similar example. Okay, anyway, the bankruptcy destroyed the Germans and destroyed Antwerp. Therefore, the great heyday, the period of Antwerp, when a European economy and the forming global world focused to Antwerp, started at the beginning of 16th century and closed somewhere when Philip II declared bankruptcy. It's 1557. This is the period of Antwerp. But for state, which organized a global discoveries, which organized a making a colonial system, necessary money, necessary loans. Therefore, a new banking service, new period of banking service for Spanish Empire offered other circle of the bankers, a Genoese. This is the last period of Mediterranean area. After a Genoese closed the age of Mediterranean trade, Mediterranean merchant, and the Mediterranean civilization in Europe. Very interesting, Ferdinand Brodel wrote about the Genoese. The rule of Genoese was so discreet and sophisticated that historians for a long time failed to notice it. Very useful to understand the secret of Genoa. You remember the story of Genoa when Genoa was the rival of Venice and lost the rivalry with Venice and turned to the direction of Western Mediterranean area. Why? Because two basins, we can divide two basins in the Mediterranean Sea, Eastern and the Western. Eastern part of Mediterranean Sea focused and specialized to the spice trade. And the Western, any other. Therefore, Genoese lost the rivalry against Venetians, therefore started to finance a new state, new ambitious state, Spain and Portugal. Therefore, Genoese appear in Portugal and Spain much better, much former than the age of discovery, even in the 14th century. Genoa, very special the location, because if we are looking area of Genoa, behind Genoa there is a mountain area which lost almost full of vegetation. Why? Because it's very old civilization area, partly forest, a timber material used for construction of building, used for construction of vessels, of ships, for one middle-sized commercial trading ships necessary 4-hectare forest. Therefore, if we would like to understand why lost the vegetation, this is one ship, other one, third, fourth, and so on. So we can reckon the quantity of the ships and the buildings in the lost vegetation. It's a barren mountain area, and location of Genoa is a strip of coast area behind a high mountain. A narrow strip along the coast, very close, very narrow area for construction. A modern city in the global trade, integrated to the global trade, behind the city a feudal mountain area. As I mentioned, turn westward to the western part of Mediterranean Sea. Okay, look at Genoa. The next impression about the Genoa. Today we are looking much more than before or later. Yeah, it's no word, only visual impression. I call your attention how narrow the street. Contemporary trading ship. It's very special traveling to Italy. One of my friends told to me that in Italy a new building means constructed after the birth of Jesus Christ. It's very different relation to the historical past, and in the case of Szeged, for example, the oldest building is a Franciscan building which constructed at the turn of 15th and 16th century. But majority of built environment built after the Great Flood. It's possible the foreign students don't know that in the history of Szeged there is a crucial milestone. Like, for example, in the Bible, the flood of Noah. This flood of Noah in the history of Szeged, it happened, it's 19th century, it's happened in 1879. Majority, 2/3 of built environment in Szeged destroyed. Flood of Tisza River. It's an icy flood. It's happened at the turn of February and March. And very interesting, it's only one, no integrated mention to the topic of this course. You can see somebody walked on the riverside. Recently, it's very low, the water level on the Tisza. Very, very low. Why? Global warming. Some weeks ago I traveled to Carpathian Mountain and no snow cover. In consequence of the change of climate, of icy flood, which was historically the most dangerous flood, disappeared. And recently, the flood of October, you remember last year, became the most dangerous flood. Why? Because our country, step by step, closing to the direction of Mediterranean climate, with 2 seasons, winter half year and summer half year. And the dangerous period, step by step, became the change between summer half year and winter half year on the time of October. Okay, but this is other story. We have to focus to economic history. If we are looking at Genoa, it's tiny settled valleys on the coastal area. Only 2 larger streets are Strada Nova and Via Barbi, very close to the Apennines. It's a mountain area, and very important after appearance of artillery. I hope everybody knows which is the artillery. The cannons. This is the group of using cannons. Artillery, no chance for saving the defense of the country. Therefore, not country, defense of the city-state. Therefore, most important peculiarity historically is the openness. Because open the sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea, no comparable with Adriatic Sea. Adriatic Sea, very easy to save. Because it's a bag-like construction with a lot of island. On the case of Genoa, no chance for saving from the direction of sea. Other one, from the direction of continental area, similarly, no chance for saving, no chance for defense from the enemies. Why? Because taking some cannons, high position, and firing down to the city. Therefore, evolutionary strategy of Genoese, with help of financial position and the financial affairs, saving Genoa against the potential enemies. Therefore, no direct defense focused, but much more the financial influence. Look at the strategy. Vulnerable from the continental area and the sea similarly. Population on the heyday estimate around 80,000 inhabitants. But like happened on the case of Venice, organized a commercial empire, integrated Sicily, integrated any other island of Mediterranean Sea, and the continental area similarly. Therefore, whole of the commercial empire, it's 500,000 estimated. Population of empire, 500,000. Okay, you remember the story. Bankruptcy destroyed position of German trader, which happened in 1557. And you can see Spanish empire almost every 20 years produce a new bankruptcy. Why? Because the contemporary government used a budget of state for military campaign, for wars. And you know, there is a famous general of Habsburg Empire named Montecuccoli that for wars necessary three things: money, 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 and a lot from free. Therefore, it's burn from modern rational concept, burn the money. Therefore, a Genoese banker somehow would like to save the money somehow. Therefore, apply a special strategy. A Genoese state merchant partly had double identity: banker and state merchant. State merchant became a member of Spanish government. A good example of that, Ambrogio Spinola Doria, who originally was a Genoese banker, but he became a general of Spanish army. He gathered the money for financing military campaign, one identity, other one, as general of Spanish army, applied and used recruited soldier, bought cannons and organized the military campaign and tried to use the loan which offered for Spanish government for official and rational manner. It's very interesting because it's possible, I told to you about the crucial position and the crucial role of creative minorities. Generally, creative minorities able to solve the problem. For example, when a Roman Empire collapsed, had creative minorities. It named a leader of Roman Catholic Church. And the Roman Catholic Church saved a lot of element of Roman civilization. The language, for example, if you travel to the Vatican, which is the official language, Latin, saved the legal system, saved, for example, the fashion. Look at the Roman Catholic priest. We wear the same fashion like in the Roman Empire, on the time of Roman Empire. Saved a lot of element of the Roman civilization. In this case, a creative minorities were and was a Genoese banker who became state merchant. It's a counselor and member of government, the general sense, who collected the money and organized the function, the organization of Spanish Empire. Genoese banker collected the capital for the provision in Italy from the Italian cities. You remember the story. Italy on the time on decline, but it's accumulated huge quantity of money. And this money which accumulated in Italian area, Genoese banker for profit, of course, for benefit collected and offered for Spanish king. And the logic of loaning to the state wasn't the same like recently. Because if you would like to buy something and ask a credit from the banks, the logic and the mechanism of that, you pay back month by month, by year, this almost the same amount. All the time, the logic of loaning, logic of credit, basically different. No same amount had to pay back regularly, but people and the banker who offer loan, credit for the state, receive the law of collecting some income of state. For example, Ambrogio Spinola Doria offer a great loan to the state for compensation, receive the law of organization of international trade between America and Spain. And if tricky, earn much more money than the amount of loan. You understand, I hope, the logic of that. Okay. And very dangerous game ball. You remember the story of Germans. One critical situation like a long war period and the empty budget of the state, no other way, it's a declaration of bankruptcy. Rate of interest, but very dangerous, but the profit rate very high. For example, a Genoese trader organized international trade between Cadiz, it's a port of Spain, and Sevilla, other port, and Veracruz in Mexico. Mexico, it's original pronunciation. And very interesting organization of interaction between Sevilla, Cadiz, and Veracruz. Why? Because the riddle going to Veracruz and the back, sailing, of course, 1.5 years. It's unbelievable intellectual performance. Why? Because each of instruction to the captain and to the sailor had to make for 1.5 year long period. A version, B version, C version. Organized 1.5. Why? Because sailing on the sea not so long. It's 3 or 4 months. But very important, it's a classical, traditional trading vessel, trading ships used the ocean current and the wind. It's a sail. Therefore, necessary reconstruct, repair a body of the ships and partly waiting for the optimal wind direction and current direction. 1.5 years. And the Genoese was able to organize so useful, so efficient international trading system that for the following 3 centuries, until the beginning of 19th century, used the same system. It's unbelievable intellectual construction goals. Okay, financial game based to the coins and bill of exchange. Moreover, you remember, I hope, what means the bill of exchange. One paper which brought the value of that, for example, 100 golden ducats. And everybody accepted. Everybody accepted. I hope you remember, on the time, 17 more products, more commercial products mobilized based to artificial money. In the late Middle Ages, early modern times, which is the most important semen of the artificial money. A confidence to each other. Everybody accepted the rules of international trade and not necessarily using a real precious metal. Okay. Regular imperial bankruptcies, this was the responsibility of the state and bad behavior of the state. Intercontinental trade, as I mentioned. Genoa fortune depend on the American treasury. Basically, for the governmental loan, receive the law of organization of international trade. And basically, creative minorities, as I mentioned, it's very close circle, only 20 or 30 families, which organized a bank network and financial network of northern Italy, and the financial mechanism and the financial policy of Spanish Empire. 20 to 30 state merchant. No more. It's a closed circle. And intermarried, of course, with the Spanish elite. Okay, this is the intercontinental trade, the ships and the network. Okay, but the 5th bankruptcy destroyed the position of the Genoese, and the area and the age of Genoa closed in 1627. This is the end of Genoese Empire. Partly not for force of Genoese trader, but a little bit changed the lifestyle. This is a great temptation because a Genoese trader and the Genoese state merchant became very, very, very rich. If somebody became too rich and living together with the Spanish nobility, lost the value of bourgeoisie, saving money, not buying more than the income, no rational decision, because it's a crucial problem. Later I will return to this problem, that a traditional world which directed by nobility, the crucial value, no rational value, no value of rational decision, but the prestige and the military skills and the majority of the values of the contemporary area, Middle Ages and the modern time. Recently we are looking like a behavior of the criminals. Nobleman, it's very proud that killed a lot of people. Recently, if somebody, it's very proud that killing a lot of people, it's a criminals, obviously. Therefore, the value system and the values of the Genoese merchant changed deeply and decreased the position on international trade. Not by chance, the most important rival of Genoese trader, organizing a financial network of Spanish army, Spanish state, it's a Portuguese. And a very important strike to the Genoese capitalism, financial capitalism, rising a Dutch empire. This is the Netherlands. I will speak about a little bit later. And very important participation of contraband, of smuggling of American silver, industrialization, and somehow Genoa was rest apart of Spanish colonialism, but not for financial service, much more industrial products. And the new client of Genoa stand on the position France and Austria. Okay, no over, because we have yet a half hour, and we start next age. We are over because a little bit shorter period, Antwerp and Genoa. But look at a longer one story. Its longer one story is Age of Amsterdam. Age of Amsterdam. Amsterdam, it's a very interesting city. Somebody visited in Amsterdam? In Amsterdam, unbelievable. You remember on which river locate in Amsterdam? A lot of channel, but only one river. A river, it's a living water. Somebody know? No? Somebody like the beer? Nobody? Amstel. If we are looking the construction of the city name, Amsterdam. Dam, this is a dam on the river. Two sides of the river. And Amsterdam historically was a small village, which located on this time on the river side of Amstel River, and saving international brand Amstel beer. It's quite a little bit similar. It's like a Heineken. It's the same style Amstel. No, but it was a small village. But in consequence, a great storm of sea destroyed the coastal area and make jump a little bit. Okay, make a huge bay. Amsterdam located here. It was a continental area historically, but 1282 or 3, one great storm destroyed the coastal area, made a channel, and made an inner bay on the continental area. And from this natural disaster, one year to other, Amsterdam became a seaside settlement. And century by century increased the size of Amsterdam and finally became the largest city whole of the Netherlands and Low Country. Partly this is a transitional construction between city-state like Genoa, like Venice was as a leading city of European economic world, and partly carried the heritage of Antwerp and Genoa. Okay, look at a very short movie about Antwerp, about Amsterdam. This is the last movie today.
With just over 1.2 million people, Amsterdam is the largest city in the Netherlands, a country most people know as Holland. This multicultural city warmly embraces tourists, with over 3.5 million people visiting each year. The Dutch are very tolerant and fun to talk, and everybody speaks English. The heart of the city is so picturesque that it is like an historical open-air museum. No wonder that the Inner Canal District is an internationally protected heritage site. In the 17th century, Amsterdam was a center for world economy, and many of the canal houses and old warehouses date from this golden age. Some landmarks, such as the Oude Kerk in the Red Light District, even date back to the 13th century. Just a short walk from the central station is iconic Dam Square, built nearly 750 years ago. Its purpose gave the city its name, Amsterdam, a dam built around the river Amstel to protect it from an inland sea. The square is dominated by the Royal Palace. From its windows, you can see the National Monument, dedicated to the many Dutch victims of World War II. The dam also houses Madame Tussauds wax collection. The impressive wax collection combines humor with an insight into Holland's gripping history. Listen to fragments of Anne Frank's famous diary, or visit her old hiding place to understand what life was like for Jewish families during Nazi occupation. It's not surprising that Europeans call Amsterdam the Venice of the North. No less than 165 canals, crossed by 1,000 bridges, divide the compact city center. Forget about cars. The best way to see the city center is by foot, or, as the Dutch would say, just get on your bike. Alternatively, take the tram across the city to the Museumplein. Art and history lovers insist that you haven't seen Amsterdam if you haven't seen the paintings by the Dutch masters that are on display here. The Rijksmuseum focuses on Dutch painters from the Golden Age. But don't forget, there are over 1 million other artworks on display in this museum with 200 rooms. Located nearby is the Van Gogh Museum, dedicated to a poor but legendary 19th century painter. Sadly, he didn't live long enough to see his work become world famous. Witness the fine art of transforming rough stones into sparkling jewels in the Diamond Museum. For centuries, Amsterdam was the diamond polishing center of the world. A gentle 10-minute stroll northwest brings you to the popular Vondel Park. On sunny days, it bursts into life as locals and tourists alike come here to relax and people watch. If you're a beer lover, make your way over to the old Heineken brewery. It is the place to sample one of the world's most popular lagers. Submerge yourself in the interactive Heineken experience. From the tulip-filled stalls of the Flower Market, follow the broad canal northeast to the New Market. In the old days, Dutch traders used to come here to weigh in their butter and cheese. Leaving the New Market, you can walk through Chinatown to the central station, or take a short detour to the Ballen, one of the world's oldest and most famous red wine districts. Today, coffee shops and adult emporiums keep the anything-goes spirit of this neighborhood alive. As evening sets, head to the Leidseplein, a square that is buzzing with live music and nightlife. After dark, the Canal District takes on a romantic air, the perfect backdrop for a moonlit walk before you retreat to your hotel. There is no other city like Amsterdam. With its seafaring history, charming gabled houses, remarkable art and cosmopolitan people, it is a place that you won't easily forget.
My favorite small city, because in international comparison Amsterdam is a small city, because as I mentioned on the movie, whole of the Amsterdam is a little bit more than 1 million inhabitants, but the closed area only 500,000. Therefore named Amsterdam a global village, a real global village. My favorite large city is Paris. My small city is, of course, Amsterdam. I suggest to everybody visiting, because it's a mentality of Dutch people is very sympathical. There is a generalization, it's not true, it's a prejudice somehow, but my experience quite close to this generalization, that the Dutch people, it's similar to the German, but are happy, and there is a sense of humor. And this is the difference. Okay, but look at the basic geographical condition. This slide I showed to you much before, on the time of medieval European economy. The basic advantage or disadvantage is depend on the point of view, is a bad geographical condition. The danger of flood storm, which made Zuiderzee, which made port Amsterdam, large area under sea level, low fertility of soil. Very important forms of adaptation, because there is a very old theory of challenge and answer. Everybody, life of personal life, and life of city, life of village, life of humankind, time by time happen a challenge. And the problem, it's a challenge, it's not a problem, it's a challenge, and necessary to find a good answer for the challenge. Look at the answer of Dutch people. Water regulation started even in the 10th century. And textile industry. Textile industry is, we are looking the medieval industry, 80%, majority of industry, textile industry. And the most important profit, which necessary to buying the staple foods, came from textile industry. Fishery, very important fishery. If you will visit in Netherlands or Belgium, very surprising that the fish, not a classical restaurant food, much more a fast food. You're walking on the street and the market, there is a sheep, fishes, different form of cooking, fast food. Maritime trade, it's somehow connected to the fishery. And industrialized agriculture. Industrialized agriculture means that even agriculture, even peasant produce products not for food, not for feeding, but raw material for industrial activities. For example, mainly textile industry. If we are looking without water regulation, this is the landscape should to be in Netherlands. Majority of country should to be under water. Not by chance, even in the early modern time, agree the traveler who visited in Netherlands, it's artificial country. Ustaritz wrote half of the country underwater. A little bit later, one English traveler, Holland is a barren country, it is land floating in the water. And Lodovico Giucardini, in the middle of 16th century, wrote in his diary that land is low-lying, all the rivers and canals are enclosed by dikes, so that do not flow on the ground level, and in many places one sees with great astonishment that the water is higher than the land. It's very surprising. We are walking, this is the ground level, and the canal is flowing 5 meters higher. Unbelievable. It's a real artificial country. If you are looking, for example, the landscape, even in the historical past, you remember the classical picture on the landscape, a lot of windmills, not for grinding of cereals. No, activate the water pump, pushing up step by step to the canals, flowing back to the sea, the water to the inner part of the continental area. The first level of defense against the Northern Sea, this is the dunes. On the dunes, it's growing a very special grass. It's a unique grass which able to using salt water. Majority of vegetation, it's killed by salt water. It's a unique grass which able to grow even in salt water. Okay, contemporaries agree what happened in Low Country, what happened in Netherlands, this was a miracle. This was a miracle. If we are looking at the country, it's a very small country. Half of recent Hungary. Hungarian, it's generally for foreign students, I suppose that met with this problem that Hungarian, if would like to define, we are a small nation, a small country, recently. But in the historical past, it's much larger. It's possible, I told to you, after the military service, I met with one American student, traveled to Hungary. And he had a guidebook about whole of Europe. It's a typical American style of traveler, one guidebook, whole of Europe. And about the Hungarian history, had only one sentence. Hungarian history, long and confused. It's true, it's true. And the other one suggested to the American tourists that if meet with Hungarians, probably a Hungarian will speak about the problem that recently his country is small, but in the historical past was much larger. We verified both of these conclusions. Anyway, if we are looking at size of Netherlands, a little bit more than 40,000 square kilometers. A recent Hungary, the small Hungary, as I mentioned, after the peace treaty of the First World War, is 93,000 square kilometers, more than double. And very interesting, to be a small country and the small identity, it's depend not only the geographical condition. Because when I met with Dutch people, nobody thought about them that came from the small country, and they are a small nation. No, nobody. Okay. Moreover, more than 7,000 square kilometers underwater. Okay. Population of Netherlands between the beginning of 16th century and to the middle of 17th century doubled. Unbelievable. Why? Because half of the country lived in urban area. And the fertility of urban area much lower compared with rural area. Which is the solution? Immigration. Immigration. It's a good place. It's a good place. And everywhere, ambitious people moving toward the Netherlands. Therefore, very important source of heyday and great recovery of Netherlands immigration. Why? Because immigrant able to transport to the Dutch Republic two crucial elements. The work power and the knowledges and the capital. The capital. Therefore, it's a simplification. The area where the immigration and the migrant moving, it's earn as a benefit for this area, the migration, and the countries and the area lost the international position with emigration. Okay, basically the double population came from immigration. Okay, some word about the Dutch agriculture. Why so important? Because if recently, today, try to take the rate or the rank list of value of agrarian export, international export, recently, the winner is United States. But very important to mention, the second one, the Netherlands. Recently. And compare with Russia, compare with Ukraine, compare with any other European country, it's a small country, which is the reason that global level, the second largest agrarian according to value, not the quantity, according to value. The solution of this, it's a contradiction, that solution is added value. On the agrarian production, the key factor, high size of high proportion of agrarian export in the modern time, added value. But the story started in the Mid-Ages. Look at capitalism grow out from the soil of Holland. As I mentioned, Jan de Vries is a very famous agrarian historian of Netherlands. High farming. You know which is the high farming? High farming. Who know which is the high farming? Nobody. Okay, it's greenfield investment. Generally, in the feudal system, used a two-field system. You remember, agrarian revolution. Half of potential arable land, grazing land, half arable land. But the high farming appeared in northern Italy. You remember the great city of Venice, 150,000 dwellers, Genoa, 80,000, Florence in 60,000. Huge concentration of urban population. Therefore, around the area, necessary to introduce a scientificized agriculture. A scientificized agriculture means a rotation system. Organized somehow, different plants rotate around one to other. For example, one plant used a nitrogen content of the soil, other one produced a nitrogen content, replaced the nitrogen content. It's a long story anyway, but the first system, rotation system, introduced northern Italy, which is the most important consequence of innovation. No grazing land. Continuously used whole of the potential arable land. This was the first phase. The first adaptation happened in Netherlands. A different rotation system used, it's scientificized somehow, the agricultural activity, and no staple food production. No wheat, no rye, no barley, only cash crops. Cash crops mean crops which able to sell on the market with high added value. For example, flax, hemp, rape, hops, tobacco, and dye plants. You know, for example, the pastel. This is a special color of the painting, pastel. It's a grass. It's a simple grass. From the grass made a special painting. Very high added value. Because, for example, the size of this lecture room, it's bred pastel grass, it's produced enough income for one of family. If, for example, wheat production, it's much lower productivity. Okay, dairy farming. Dairy farming is a hard cheese production. Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture about the cheese market and the normal size of Dutch cheese, 1 or 2 meters. Why? Because the other part of the cheese is dry. Therefore, the proportion of lost part of the cheese, it was a theme of contemporaries. Used, for example, save the eating value for 2 or 3 years, a large cheese. This was the reason of production of large size of the cheese. Commercialized a countryside. Everybody on the farmer area produced for market. Produce industrial raw material. Okay, look at the fishery. Other crucial factor of branch of Dutch economy was the fishery. We can divide 4 fisheries on the town. The contemporaries like Denis Diderot, editor of the great encyclopedia, wrote that United Provinces is Netherlands, Egypt of Europe. And the English pamphleteer, the North Sea Academy of the Mariners and Pilots of Dutch Rivers. Not so good relation between England and the Netherlands historically. If you look at the fishing industry, the first are most dedicated fishes, small fishes, in the rivers and lakes and the coastal area. But the great industry, the great fishery was the herring fishery. If you, for example, you will visit in Amsterdam, for example, on the market, it's a herring, it's a typical fast food. Take some pieces of the herring, eat and able to continue your walking. The third one, cod fishery, it's around the Iceland and Doggerbank. And very important and interesting, the whale fishery. It's a sea mammals, you know, the whale. And the 2 folks specialized to the whale fishery. Dutch sailor, and somebody know which the other whale fishery specialized for? Basque, you know which is the Basque. Living in the northern part of Iberian Peninsula. It's very important identity and organized a criminal organization and it's named by official Spanish bureaucracy one of the last terrorist organization. It's a Basque story of the Basque. It's very special, you know. No any relatives to the language of the Basque language. It's unique. It's a very small minority. Somebody know which is the football club of Basque minority? Athletic Bilbao. Unbelievable. Because the whole of the Spain, there are a lot of local identity. For example, Catalonia, which is the army of Catalonia, FC Barcelona. And a colonial ambition, it's demonstrated by Real Madrid. And rivalry between these local identities, it's a dynamized to be a member of the Spanish nation. It's a local identity, and the Basque identity one of the strongest. For example, in Athletic Bilbao there is a heritage. Only 2 types of player might be playing in the Athletic Bilbao: a Basque and the foreigners. Spanish never. Spanish never. It's not official. This is the custom law. It's a custom law of Athletic Bilbao. Okay, turn back to the story. Whale fishery. And the crucial one, among that a herring industry. A herring industry. If we are looking at herring, it's not this is the real, it's a little bit much smaller, take to the tin even now. A century of herring in the Dutch history happened between the middle of 16th and the 17th century. Not by chance, on the time 1,500 fishing vessels, fishing ships specialized only for herring fishery. 12,000 fishermen and the unbelievable productivity of the herring fishery derived from the climate change. You know, recently we are living on the time of global warming. On this time, on the early Middle Ages, early modern time, happened a little ice age. It's possible I spoke about on the time of on the problem of Black Death. This is the period of great cooling. The global temperature decreased with 1 Celsius degree. It's an unbelievable high. Unbelievable high. You remember recently the critical level for global warming, 1.5 Celsius degree up. On the time happened 1 Celsius degree down. In consequence of that, in continental Europe, decreased the vegetation period, decreased the area of production, and majority of European population lived in hunger and shortage, except a coastal area. Why? Because a herring which lived in the Middle Ages on the Norwegian Sea, in consequence of warming, cooling, it's a cold period, moved downward. Therefore, the fishermen activate very close to the coastal area, English and the Dutch fishermen, and the fishery fleet became very successful. Why so important? Because continental Europe, in consequence of climate change, lived in shortage. But the critical population, you remember the story, creative minorities. A little bit larger minorities, but the creative minorities, the maritime population, the sailor, the dock worker, the captains, generally who lived from the sea, it's a sea-born population, lived in good condition. And this sea-born population organized a colonial network in global level. Therefore, this climate change helped a lot for forming a global economy under direction of European trader and European sailor. Okay, thanks a lot for your attention, and ask your patience for some minutes.